So what this verse says is, इति दाक्षे नामते पृथक वंशा प्रकीर्तिता देवासुर मनुष्यादय लोकयात्रा चराचरा. The idea here is that all the devotees, like all the demigods, demons and human beings, are actually produced of Maharaj Daksha. Daksha, we all know from 7th Canto, Daksha is a Prajapati, and he was entrusted with this duty of producing progeny on this earth planet and making it populated. That's what Prajapati means. Prajapati, who is the Lord. Pati means who is the Lord, Master. Praja means the living entities on this earth. So not on this earth, but even demigods, living entities in the entire material universe. So he is the original forefather, you can say. Original Pitra is Daksha. So now, and from Daksha's daughters, many rishis, they married his daughters, and they also produced progeny, and that is why we have many dynasties, gotras, like for example, Agastya Gotra, Kaushik Gotra, and other gotras are there. So what's the message here? The message here is that in 7th Canto, if you read, Daksha means expert. Now all these names in Srimad Bhagavatam have some kind of basically philosophical understanding behind them. They are not random. Just like our names are random, isn't it? Tom, and what else? Danny, Vicky, all these are random names. They are not exactly according to our nature or skills. Or just like in India, they keep some official names. Okay, Tony, but then there are home names also, isn't it? Home name Pappu, Chintu, all these names are there. It's like funny. So they don't have any connection with our nature or with our skills or with our even our intellectual capacity. But previously in our Vedic culture, the names were kept according to the nature of the child, and also the duty of the child which he was expected to perform. So and how did they know what is the nature of child? By astrology. By astrology, they used to understand the nature of this child is Brahmanical, and of course, if the astrology says that this boy will rule over the entire country, he is going to become a great ruler. So astrologer is to suggest, okay, keep his name Chakravarti, or maybe Ashok, who will give protection, who will remove sorrows of others. So in that way, the same principle holds for God. Even Krishna's names are not random. Srila Prabhupada said, so on the other hand, Krishna's names are according to his qualities. So the names come later, the qualities come first, if you want to put it in order, but of course everything is eternal there. But why he is called Krishna? Because he is all attractive. He is really attractive. You can name your child as Krishna, but he is not all attractive, it doesn't match. But for him, his names are kept according to his form, according to his pastimes, and according to his qualities. That is why we say name, form, pastimes, qualities. That is why Mahaprabhu said, okay, chant his names. And because his names have a real connection with his pastimes and his qualities, you will remember his pastimes and qualities. It's not some artificial connection with his names. Like for example, if we say Govinda, it is connected to some of his pastimes. And so which pastime? The pastime of Abhishek, which was done by Indra on Govardhan after Govardhan Leela. So that's Govinda, or maybe giving pleasure to his devotees. So he does that, he really does that. So that is why all the names in Vedic period, this is very important philosophical point. You see, in the modern world, everything is disconnected and imaginary. Everything is disconnected and imaginary. People are disconnected. Relationships are disconnected. What else? Let's say, mind is disconnected from body. It's all disconnection. The whole humanity is disconnected from nature. So it's all disconnected. And that is why we are all living in an imaginary world. We are all living in an imaginary world. We are all living in an utopian world. We are not living in reality. And Bhagavatam begins with the fact, Vedyam Vastavam Vastuatra Shivadam. The fact of Bhagavatam is to help you to understand reality. Everything should be real and real connection. So that is why many philosophers and many psychologists, they call this modern world as a utopian world. Or in fact, scriptures call this material world as an illusory world, isn't it? Why this is illusory? Because ideas and the forms, ideas and reality are not connected. People are thinking something in their head, but that's not real. Just like, for example, the concept of liberalism. They have the thinking in their head, but that's not reality, and that's why it doesn't work. That's why nothing is working in this material world, in this modern world, sorry. But in Vedic era, not only people were connected to nature, not only people were connected to each other by morality and by maryada, dharma, and not only people were connected to their own self by spirituality. Not only people were connected, their mind and body was connected because they used to follow the rules of Ayurveda, but also their names were connected with them. That was the extent to which Vedic era went. Everything should be connected with reality, even the names. And this concept of connection of names with reality comes from Krishna. So Krishna doesn't do anything imaginary or illusory. So that is why we have thousands of names of Krishna. Thousands of names of Krishna means thousands of qualities, thousands of pastimes of Krishna. Millions. That is why Mahaprabhu said, Param Vijate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. He didn't say, now this, if you understand this will lead to very important another point. Mahaprabhu said, okay, Param Vijate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Please chant the holy names of Lord. Why? Because when you chant the holy names of Lord, automatically his pastimes and qualities will be invoked, provided you know them. And then in that sense, you are not just chanting names, you are also chanting form, qualities and pastimes. That is why Mahaprabhu said Sankirtanam. Sang means together. Name, form, qualities, pastimes. This is one angle to see Sankirtanam. Now why I am telling you all these things is because the name Daksha. I am going to come into this. If you have understood this, then you will understand why the name Daksha is kept. So not only Krishna, but even devotees' names, because all these devotees are from Vedic era. So Daksha Prajapati, when he was born, I think he was born from Brahma directly. Yeah. He was born from Brahma. So when he was born, Brahmaji knew. So Brahmaji knew why he created Daksha, isn't it? And of course they might have seen his astrology also. So why he created? He was created for one purpose, for increasing or for populating this entire material universe. That's why he was created, and that's why when Krishna appeared in front of Daksha, he actually congratulated him, and he said, well, you should do your service, you should fulfill the purpose of your creation, and the purpose of your creation is to populate this earth, so do that. And that is why Brahma named him as Daksha. Daksha means expert. He was expert, Prabhupada says, he was expert in sexual activities. Now here sexual activity doesn't, don't take it in a wrong sense. We always take sexual activity as a wrong way, but that's not the idea. He was created, he was expert in producing progeny and populating this universe. Now, but expert in populating the universe doesn't mean that he was expert in producing babies. He was not 24 hours doing sex and producing babies. He was not a baby producing machine. That's not why he's called Daksha. The idea is, when you produce an offspring, it's your duty to take care of it. Otherwise, you have not produced an offspring. Otherwise, you have not produced a population, a progeny. You have produced you have actually produced a urine and stool. That's what Bhagavatam says. It's not putra, it's mutra. It's like you have produced animals, that's all. So, but Daksha was expert in populating the world, not just populating the world like animals. He was expert in guiding them, in nurturing them in their dharma. That was also there within him. He was not just, don't visualize Daksha as an ordinary, sex maniac and he's 24 hours doing sex and producing babies. That was not the idea. If you think like that, that's crazy. Brahma would not have produced a child like that. So he was not an uncivilized barbarian, isn't it? He was an Aryan Vedic person. He was expert. So that's why Krishna congratulated him, that you are expert in producing progeny, not just producing, but then taking care of them, nurturing them, nourishing them in the path of dharma. So he was expert in dharma also. Of course, he did some mistakes, but anyway, he was expert in dharma. He has to be expert, otherwise, what kind of responsibility he'll take? He's the original forefather, at least at this level. So in that sense, that is why he was named as Daksha. So by the names of devotees in Bhagavatam, you can understand the nature. Just like, for example, Dhruva. Dhruva means he was determined. And his pastimes also match with that. He was determined. He did great tapasya. 6 months, he had darshan of God. Or maybe Suruchi, his mother. Suruchi was completely interested in material enjoyment. Suruchi. And Suniti, she was completely interested in justice. That is why she was good. Suruchi was, let's say, evil. Hiranyakashipu. Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu means bed. So Hiranyakashipu was simply interested in sex and women. And that means power. You don't get sex and women without power. So you see the point. All these names. Parikshit, he was examining Krishna when he was born, or his whole life was an examination. Every step was an examination. So all these names, you see, all these names have some meaning to it. Yashoda, who gives yash, da means give, yash means fame, who gives fame to Vrindavan by protecting Krishna, by nurturing him. So you see the point. That is why this whole chapter, you can understand this whole chapter by the very name Daksha. Every name of Krishna, of Bhagavatam, or every character has everything. You can simply say Daksha and you remember everything, everything is there, whatever is there in 7th canto. So that is why this verse is okay. It concludes finally. Daksha concludes with the name Daksha. That is why Sukadeva Goswami is concluding. Iti Dakshayi Nam. Daksha and his daughters, Diti, Aditi, and whatever. They, all of them, Prithak Vamsha Prakirtita, they all started some dynasties, all of them. So, Sukadeva Goswami concluded, okay, let's conclude 7th canto. Sukadeva Goswami thinks. One point is that Sukadeva Goswami is expert in rhetorics. He's an expert speaker. That is why everybody came to listen to him. So he's thinking how to end this chapter, how to end this canto. The whole 7th canto is, most of it is Daksha Prajapati. Prahlad, 7th canto, and then Daksha. Two main themes of 7th canto. So how to end this chapter? So he chose to end this chapter with this verse, and starting with this verse, Iti Dakshayi Nam. Because even Prahlad has a dynasty, Asura dynasty. And then Daksha himself, he is the originator of all dynasties. And he is expert. Now, another very important point in this verse is, Krishna congratulated him. Krishna was happy with him, by the way. Now you might think, it's a funny kind of service which Daksha Prajapati has. Populating the earth, like populating the earth, he has to engage in sexual activities, isn't it? But that's not wrong if you are not doing illicit sex. That's one thing. Another thing is, he was doing whatever he was created for. That's why Krishna was happy. And that is called, in Madhva Sampradaya, it's a very, very big concept, which is called samsara chakra. Now, samsara chakra, samsara chakra, this is called as, I think samsara chakra is also called as birth and death, the wheel of birth and death. But here, samsara chakra means Madhva holds this opinion that if you are doing whatever is destined for you by God, then you can please Him. And that concept is a basis of Varnashrama Dharma, isn't it? Whatever person is produced, whatever person is created for, whatever skills he has and qualities, that he must do as an offering to God, and he will be happy. That this point is a basis of Varnashrama Dharma. Madhva Sampradaya, Varnashrama Dharma, that's the key and the way to God. I am the way. Varnashrama is the way. That's the whole point. So, what's that verse? Varnashrama Vibhagasha Vishnu Aradhyade Panta Nanatatosh Karadam. So there is no other way to please God except Varnashrama. So if you ask what is one line, if you can tell Varnashrama in one line. One line in Varnashrama is, everybody is expert in doing their duties according to their qualities. Whatever they are made for by God in this life, if they do that properly, God is pleased, as an offering to Him, of course. That is called a samsara chakra. Now, if you look very astutely, keenly, you will see all animals are doing what they are created for. Alright? That is why Krishna didn't give animals intelligence and plants intelligence, because He wanted them to come to human life. And how will they come to human life? When they get credits, when God is pleased. And because they have no intelligence, they will do whatever they are created for by their flex. Bees will pollinate the flowers, they'll keep on doing that. Ants will keep on collecting food and then rejuvenating the soil, earthworms. Donkeys will do their work, dogs will bark, they will do their work. In the whole cycle of this ecosystem, everybody will be doing whatever they required, their duty is. That's why Krishna is pleased, and they evolved higher. Now, you see the point. Every species evolve on a higher platform. They don't go lower. Only in human species you can go up and low. But in all other species, you simply go up. Why is that? Because every other species except human, they can't decide for their own what to do, what not to do. They'll do whatever God decides for them, and they'll keep on doing that, even if they die. That is why God becomes pleased. Now that is extraordinary mercy of Krishna, that he is forcing them to do what he wants by taking away the intelligence. But he gives intelligence to us, so it is mercy or not mercy? It has he gives intelligence to humans. Now this might not seem as mercy, because as soon as you give humans intelligence, they'll choose not to do what God wants. They'll choose not to do what is their nature and their qualities. Out of enviousness, they will try to imitate others and have competition. That's what they are going to do. So, is giving intelligence to humans a gift? Well, in one sense it's not. In another sense it is, because only by using intelligence and learning how to do what we are required for and fulfilling our purpose, just like Daksha Prajapati, he by his intelligence chose to fulfill the purpose of his creation. Krishna was happy. That was his service. So we choose, then we develop Vivek, wisdom, and we really please God, because that's by our choice, and then we can develop love for him, because love for him requires free will. So although giving intelligence has a drawback, but it has a very strong positive point, and we can attain love. Although not giving intelligence to plants and animals is a blessings on them, because they can evolve higher, but then there's a big fault. They can't attain love of God. They're blocked. So if you can understand this, you can understand whole Varnashrama, and you can also understand yourself, and that is why this name Daksha is given. Daksha, whole 7th canto can be described in one word: Daksha. Prahlad, he was expert. He was doing whatever he was created for, isn't it? He's a Mahabhagavat. He was sent in this world to glorify the holy names, and he did that. He was simply chanting holy names. Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him, but he was not able, because he was having faith. So Krishna was happy. If you send somebody on a mission and if he does that, you'll be happy. And if you send somebody on a mission and he does something else, it's crazy. Ram sent Hanuman to know where is Sita, and Hanuman did his job, and Ram was happy. That's all. So Prahlad was Daksha. Prahlad was expert in actually doing whatever he wanted, whatever he was created for. Daksha Prajapati, he was expert. He did his job nicely. And Hiranyakashipu was also expert. He did his job nicely. He was created for the purpose of creating confusion. Jai Vijay. As a demon, he did his job. So, and Krishna, he did his job. He was not partial to anybody. That's where 7th canto begins. First chapter, is Lord equal to everyone? That's the theme of this 7th canto. He was impartial. He gave blessings to his devotees. He killed demons because demons were trying to kill him. So they got whatever they treated God as. He was doing an impartial stuff. So everybody was doing whatever they had to do, and that is the theme of this whole 7th canto, and that is why Sukadeva Goswami, it's beautiful. I mean to say, I just thought about it. That is why he actually summarized this whole 7th canto with one word: Daksha Inam. Iti Daksha Inam te. Prithak Vamsha Prakirtita. And everybody, anyway. So, if we want to become expert, now what about us? What God expects from us, we have to understand. And we should do that. That's all. And also, we have to understand our nature, what nature God gave to us according to karmas, and use that nature in service of God, and use that nature to fulfill the purpose of God, to fulfill the purpose of devotion wherever we are. So if we want to become expert in devotion, we have to know our duty, our mundane duty and our spiritual duty, isn't it? Spiritual duty is we are all servants of Krishna. We should serve him. But mundane duty is according to our nature, whatever we got from Krishna. If you use your skills and your qualities 100% in the service of God, then you become perfect. Then you are expert. But if you try to imitate others because of competition or enviousness or maybe an influence, then you don't please him, because you are doing something what you are not. So you might be serving God, but you might be serving him in a way that you are not, but in a way which other devotees are trying to serve, and you are trying to do a competition with them. And that's a big problem. Then God is not satisfied. And how do we know Krishna is not satisfied? If you are not satisfied, then Krishna is not satisfied. Krishna is satisfied, then you are satisfied. That is the symptom. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So satisfaction reflects man is made in the image of God. If you move your hand, then your reflection in the mirror, that also moves hand. So Krishna is happy, you are happy. If you are unhappy, then this means Krishna is unhappy. You are not satisfied. Krishna is unsatisfied. So if we try to do out of our beyond our whatever we are designed for by our karmas, then we become frustrated and we don't end up anywhere. That's one thing. That is why Krishna says paradharma bhayava. If you try to imitate others, it can be very, 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 very dangerous. You will not advance. And that is what is the entire teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Try to recognize yourself. What's that? Adhyatma. Swabhav Adhyatma Uchyate. Try to understand who are you. That is what is whole Krishna consciousness. Who am I by mind, by body and by soul? What kind of body I have received from God? And how can I in best way put it in service of God? Within my own limits, what I have got. What kind of mind I have got, intelligence I have got. What is the best way to engage in the service of God? In my own limits, what I have got. Not try to compete with others. And spiritually, what is my original spiritual nature? What is my Swarupa? That is entire spirituality. That is what is the meaning of Daksha. All of us have to become Daksha, expert in knowing ourselves completely. That is what is Swarupa. Swa. You know your own Rupa. Rupa means your own form of spiritual spirit, and your form, your roop, your form of your ideas, your mental thoughts, your intelligence, and your body. Your bodily form, your spiritual form, gross and subtle both. And then you become satisfied. That's why Krishna says the greatest tapasya is to become satisfied. Why are we not satisfied? Because we are not doing what we are. We are doing what others are doing. Out of peer pressure or out of showing others, because I'm a leader, I have to do this, whatever others will think. Yeah, of course we have to think that factor also, what others are going to think, our actions, but not at the cost of becoming something else what you are not. This will produce tremendous stress on your personality and also psychosomatic problems. And most of the leaders are in this trap. And that is why they are unhealthy. Of course, unhealthy because of stress also, not just that is a factor, but one of the major part is we don't recognize our limits also. You can recognize your skills, but to recognize your drawbacks, that's the main thing. Every motivational speaker, they say, okay, you can do this. Your skills is this, skills. But nobody tells your drawbacks. If you want to know yourself, if you want to become expert, Daksha, then you have to understand your abilities and your limits both. And then work accordingly. So Daksha, he was expert. He could understand his abilities. Yes, I can produce progenies. I can produce innumerable children and I'll not get exhausted. And I'll not die because of excess sexual activity. I'll not die. If you produce 10 kids, you will die. No, modern man will die, but modern female will also die. Previously, they used to produce 10 kids, but people are so weak, they can't do. So, but Daksha is producing innumerable living entities. He knew, okay, I'll not die, I'll not become fatigued or something. To say. So, he knew. So, that is why all of us should become Daksha. That's the message. Iti Daksha Inamte. And if you become Daksha, Daksha Inam, then you will produce. If you become expert, then you produce Diti and Aditi. If you become expert, Daksha, in knowing yourself, then you have two daughters, Diti and Aditi. Now, I told you, every name has a philosophical implication. So, who is Diti and who is Aditi? Diti is Aditi. Diti word comes from what? Diti and Aditi. Diti means basically, how should I put? From Diti comes Daitya. So Aditi means negative, Aditi means positive. So when you become expert, you can understand your positive and negative qualities. You can understand your pitfalls in devotion and your abilities in devotion. You can exactly see what is happening. So you will attain the wisdom to distinguish between good and bad within yourself when you become expert in devotion. When you expertly analyze yourself through the power of holy names and Bhagavatam, an association of devotees, then you get these two daughters, Diti, Aditi, the wisdom to differentiate between bad and good, pravritti and nivritti, or Krishna says, maybe light and darkness. That's what you get, Diti, Aditi. I would also see dictionary dekhna, meaning of Diti in Sanskrit. There are other meanings of Diti, Aditi also in Sanskrit. I have to see. Anyway, so, and then Vamsha. If you choose Aditi, if you choose good qualities in yourself and you cultivate that, there's a different path, different dynasty of demigods. You get all good qualities of demigods. And if you cultivate bad things in yourself, you get all bad qualities of asuras. That is Prithak Vamsha Prakirtita. There are two dynasties. One is coming from good, one is coming from bad. It depends on us which thing we cultivate. We cultivate bad things or we cultivate good things. For that we have to become expert. How to become expert? By trying to know yourself, your own Swabhava. What I am supposed to do, what I can do, what I should do. These questions, your limitations and your abilities, and then you will be able to recognize, okay, this is good, this is bad, I should choose good, I should choose bad. Because according to your abilities, good and bad will be decided. If you are not so intelligent and if you try to aim for getting knowledge, that's bad for you. It will produce stress. But if you're intelligent and then you aim for knowledge, deep knowledge, then it's good for you. So you see, what is bad and good will be defined once you know yourself, your own limits and your own abilities. If you have a strong body, then you can do hard work. It's good for you. as a farmer, as a maybe laborer or something. But if your body is very weak, then you can't do that. That's hard work. That's bad for you. So good and you see the good and bad is decided. You can only decide good and bad when you know your abilities and limitations at bodily level and spiritual level. Then you can decide what is good and bad in spirituality and also in this world. And then you can cultivate Krishna consciousness. So Diti, Aditi, and if you choose bad, then you go down, asuras. You choose good, then you go up. Yeah. So if you do bad, then you go up. If you do good, then you go up. If you do bad, then you go down. Okay. So that is what is Prithak Vamsha Prakirtita. Devasur Manushya Adya Lokayatra Charachara. So Lokayatra Chara Chara. And if you so that is called Lokayatra. If you choose good, you go up. If you choose bad, then you go down. That decides your Lokayatra. Chara Chara in this material world. That's what this verse is all about. So what's the meaning of Diti? Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anything you want to ask, I'll end up there.
The word Diti comes from the root da, meaning to cut, divide or break.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept and humble obeisances. All the glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Prabhuji for this insightful class and very beautifully explained about that Diti and Aditi. So devotees, any questions or realizations, please go ahead.
I have a realization, nobody understood anything. It was complex, I know. It was a complex thing, but you can hear again. I took out some.
Yes, of course, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I think
It was. You see the point. I took out the philosophical insight into this verse. Every Bhagavatam has different levels of meaning. So I could have gone into the story, but I took the adhyatmic meaning of this verse. How every word has implications. So yeah, you can ask if you have understood something.
Yes, Prabhuji. Of course, for me, I have to go through again. We have one raised hands, Priyanka Nagar Mataji.
Oh.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you always tell some different, which we have never seen any other platform. Okay, Prabhuji, who told us that what is our abilities and disabilities in spiritual way? How can we understand?
You have to understand, I told you have to understand yourself by your sadhana, by chanting holy names, making yourself pure, by serving devotees and reading Bhagavatam, by taking knowledge. Otherwise, we'll never understand who we are. And we'll be completely an illusion. That is called Maya. That is why we do chanting. The more our mind becomes focused on holy name, the more we can see ourselves. Because mind becomes still. If you take a pot of water and if you stir the water and you put a coin in that water, you stir the water, you will not be able to see the coin. But if you keep the pot for some time, the water stands still and then you can see the coin, which is at the bottom of the pot. So you have to make your mind stand still. How? You have to make your mind stand still on holy name. Other yogis, they try different methods. The idea is same, to stop the mind from running here and there. Some people meditate on pranas, pranayam. Some people try to focus their mind on chakras. We do holy names. The idea is same.
And Prabhuji, then we read any books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we can't see things.
Of course,
They are
you will not be able to see. If you will be able to see things, then what's the use of my giving lecture? Then you will not need this forum. You will just throw us in dustbin. No, stop Bhakti Sangha, you will say. I can. So that is why we need Sangha, no? We need association of devotees to see what we cannot see. And the purpose of people who are giving lecture is to show you what you cannot see. Then it serves a purpose. If I say the same thing, okay, if I would have said, okay, Daksha is a Prajapati and there were two daughters, Diti and Aditi, and then I would have explained the Vamsha from, their daughters like this, and they have demigods, Indra and this, Asura, this. What's the point? You can read, that you have heard, you have been hearing, 7th Canto since so much time. So what's the point of my giving lecture? So I have to tell you something which you cannot, you will be, it's impossible for you to understand from this verse. That I have to do my homework. And I have to think about that, what to tell you. That then benefits you and benefits me also, because we enjoy this also.
This is my disability. I can't understand. You can.
Okay.
You can. Otherwise, Prabhupada give everything in the book, but I can't see. And when you tell that,
Okay,
it is very much.
no problem. You hear again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. We have one more raised hand, Tijil Chowdhury Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Nandar Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, as what I understood from your explanation, that our prescribed duties, if we do what we are meant for, if we do those things, that is varnashram. Just as you gave example of, just as you gave examples of lower species of life, they are doing what they are meant for. So there is a certain class of like other sampradayas, let's be open, like they believe in Janmana Varnashram. They say that one attains his Varna by his birth because of his previous samskaras and karmas. So, but we don't accept it. So how to, like, because we are born in a certain Varna and we should do that according to your explanation.
What's the question, Tele?
Question is this, that how, like, we don't believe in that in Janmana Varnashram.
So we don't believe in Janma. So what is this? By Guna Karma, Varnashrama has to be there, not by Janma. So
we don't attain Varna by Janma.
Who said that?
Actually, almost all the like traditional sampradayas and
But
everybody except.
But Srila Prabhupada doesn't say that. No?
Yes.
But that is said that there was a reason why they say. Because previously in Vedic age, because there were no Varna Shankaras, Brahmanas were marrying Brahmanas, so their genes were already like intellectual genes. Brahmanas had intellectual genes, their children. So automatically they had those qualities in general. And that is why mixing of different castes were not allowed to carry genes. So people who were like bodybuilders, the child will naturally have genes, or like family of bodybuilders, then the child will naturally have strong body, expected to have that. So that is why cross marriage was not allowed between other varnas, and that is why it appeared that is why, because children were born with same qualities, so they said, okay, let's make a rule by janma they will be assigned their skill. But even then they used to see the astrology and they used to do samskaras, and then they used to see, okay fine, this child is expected to have a Brahmana couple, child will be expected to have Brahmanical qualities, but still they were tested, and most of the time it was like that, and they were like assigned their whole duty. So there was a logic in that. But now, because all Varna Shankaras in Kali Yuga, so this system of Janma Jayate, it is debunked now.
is like now that pure races are not available, so we have made another system.
No, we have not made another system. System was there of guna karma only. But because guna karma was passed down through castes, because castes were pure, that is why it was preserved. That is why they used to say, okay, see by caste, no problem. But system is still guna karma, but the caste thing is not pure, that is why we left that let's say that principle, but the main principle still holds, guna karma.
So if one hypothetically, or just many people still, if they have preserved culture, so is it okay for them to follow that system? The families who have preserved that culture with generation.
Yeah, then
From
of
generation,
course, then it's good.